Welcome to The Late Show, everybody. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Look, I don't know. Hey, friends. I don't know what you all are talking about, but everybody I talk to is talking about what Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about. So let's talk about it. It being the conspiracy surrounding his old dancing buddy, Jeffrey Epstein. There you go.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country.
Donald Trump has been described in many ways businessman, entertainer, even a disruptor. But to Stephen Colbert and Robert De Niro, all the flashy branding boiled down to one thing: an act. They didn't see a daring outsider or fearless leader, just a man making the most noise, selling something broken as if it were gold. Their roast cut through the show, revealing the illusion and leaving the salesman without his stage.
Friday, the Wall Street Journal dropped an absolute bombshell. They are reporting that in 2003, Trump sent a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday that was sexually suggestive. Yeah, it's the most inappropriate birthday gift since Carvel debuted Fudgy the Hung Like a Whale. Now,
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon. Colbert mocked Trump's act like a never-ending late-night skit, while De Niro tore into it with the raw intensity of someone who hates cheap drama. Together, they shattered the illusion, exposing Trump not as a powerful political figure, but as someone so hooked on spectacle that he mistook applause for real leadership. Colbert wasted no time dismantling the myth of Trump the dealmaker, portraying him not as a skilled negotiator, but as a man who rarely ever saw things through.
for years, before he was, reelected, and recently, since they all got into office, a bunch of high-ranking people in Trump's administration have kept promising to release the files surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, his mysterious clients, and his suspicious death. But now, suddenly, for reasons that I legally cannot think of, Donald Trump seems desperate to stop us from knowing who Jeffrey Epstein's clients were.
From casinos that crumbled like poorly stacked cards to a university built on empty promises, Colbert ridiculed Trump's record as a graveyard of failures dressed up in gold. He mocked the image of a brilliant businessman, comparing it instead to a cheap magic trick built on smoke, mirrors, and bankruptcy filings. Each claim of success, he argued, was like watching someone insist a sinking ship was a luxury cruise until you noticed the passengers scrambling for life vests.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's letter featured several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with heavy marker. In the drawing, a pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. Do you know what that means? That means Donald Trump has drawn pubic hair on every executive order.
De Niro gave the picture an even darker edge, attacking Trump not only as a failure, but as a danger. He described him as a man who fed on conflict, unable to function without chaos swirling around him. To De Niro, Trump wasn't a leader at all, but an arsonist, someone who sparked political fires just to stand before the flames and claim he was the hero. The bravado, the tweets, the endless outrage, these weren't signs of power, he argued, but symptoms of weakness. What the world mistook for strength was really insecurity, shouted in capital letters and punctuated with exclamation marks.
It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote for it.
Colbert returned to Trump's fixation on appearances, mocking his constant bragging about crowd sizes and his need to label everything as the biggest, best, and most beautiful. He compared it to a child with a crayon crown, scribbling worlds, greatest on every surface in sight. To Colbert, this wasn't confidence, but the fear of being forgotten. The nonstop boasting, he argued, wasn't proof of real accomplishments, but a way to drown out the silence that comes when there's nothing genuine to show.
Now, suddenly, for reasons that I legally cannot think of, Donald Trump seems desperate to stop us from knowing who Jeffrey Epstein's clients were. In fact, yesterday, he said he was surprised anyone even cares about the guy.
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life.
That sentence was never a big factor in terms of word.
De Niro drove the point even deeper, saying Trump's obsession with image wasn't just ridiculous, it was insulting. Here was a man with enormous power, yet he spent his energy chasing TV ratings and magazine covers. De Niro mocked the smallness of a leader who treated the presidency like a reality show, measuring success in headlines. He compared Trump's governing style to directing a bad movie, loud explosions, messy plots, endless retakes, and a director barging in to brag about his own brilliance. Colbert joked that the teleprompter wasn't guiding Trump's message, but reminding him where he was. Every rally, he suggested, felt like a comedy routine without a punchline. Only the crowd wasn't laughing with Trump, they were laughing at him.
Do you really worry that if he were to win again, and I'm not saying this like it's such a far-fetched notion, if he were to win again, that he would not give up power?
You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is, shame on you.
De Niro kept the momentum by zeroing in on Trump's theatrical persona. To him, every entrance, every gesture, every exaggerated hand wave was just part of a show. He called it method acting gone wrong. Trump had convinced himself that pretending to be a strongman actually made him one. The scowls, the bravado, the posturing, it was all theater without depth. De Niro argued Trump wasn't only fooling the public, he was fooling himself into thinking applause was real power. Colbert then turned to Trump's obsession with media praise, portraying him not as a leader battling opponents, but as a fragile celebrity unable to take bad reviews. He painted Trump as the first president whose true nemesis wasn't the other party, but the critics who gave him 2 stars out of 5. De Niro closed the point by stressing the danger of this obsession. Trump's fixation on image wasn't harmless, it had real consequences. Decisions were made for the cameras, not for strategy. Policies were crafted for quick applause, not lasting results.
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
Are you?
Excuse my French.
De Niro framed it as the ultimate betrayal, a leader who used the nation as a stage prop, trading substance for spectacle at every opportunity. Colbert then underscored the irony of Trump's populism. Here was a man who branded himself as the voice of ordinary people, yet his life was steeped in wealth, privilege, and detachment from everyday struggles. Colbert mocked the idea of Trump as an outsider, comparing him instead to a country club guest claiming to understand the caddies' lives. For De Niro, Trump wouldn't be remembered as the builder he boasted of being, but as the one who tore down trust, unity, and norms. His critique carried the sharp eye of someone who had seen through countless Hollywood performances and found this one unimpressive. Trump's act, he insisted, was no longer believable. It was still hollow and dangerous in its persistence.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios, something about, I said, what just happened, just happened. No, it didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it. I think we all are. It's insane. So that's why I felt I had to do something, say something about it, to go on record.
Together, Colbert and De Niro delivered a takedown like no other. Colbert's sharp humor cut through the absurdity, turning Trump's behavior into punchlines that exposed the emptiness behind them. De Niro's intensity gave those jokes weight, transforming satire into condemnation. By the end, Trump no longer looked like the bold leader he claimed to be, but a caricaturan actor stuck in his own performance, rehearsing lines for a play the audience had already abandoned. The truth they hammered home was clear. Trump's greatest skill wasn't leadership, but self-promotion. In Colbert's telling, that alone was comedy. Trump wasn't a mastermind plotting domination, he was a man tweeting at 3 a.m. about TV hosts who didn't flatter him. Colbert painted him not as a chess player, but as someone who can't even win a connect for Rand when he loses. He cheats by yanking out the bottom row.
Understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
Yes. No, he's right. The Epstein saga is a total snooze fest. I mean, the most powerful man in the world is blocking information about a cabal of the rich, the famous, and the royal, befriending a con man who regularly flies off in his private plane to his private island or do super illegal sex stuff. Then the con man is arrested. People are afraid he's going to name names, but before he can, he mysteriously dies right after being taken off a suicide watch in a federal prison during the administration of the guy who is blocking the release of the information.
What made Colbert's roast bite even harder was how clearly he exposed Trump's predictability. Every controversy, every scandal, every supposed shock followed the same tired formula: deny, deflect, distract. Colbert likened Trump's career to a bad sitcom reboot recycling the same lines, the same laugh track, the same worn-out catchphrases, but with fewer fans each season. Even his rallies, Colbert joked, felt like cover bands playing the same old songs, except instead of rocking out, the crowd was nodding off in MAGA hats. De Niro, never subtle, cut straight to Trump's claim of toughness. He reminded the audience that acting strong isn't the same as being strong. For him, Trump was just a man hiding behind noise and bravado because without it, there was nothing left.
I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting right now. I don't care for him. Doesn't seem to have like the skill set. Doesn't have the skill set to be president. Just not a good fit, that's all.
The genius of their combined roast was how they turned Trump into a parody of himself. Colbert mocked his rambling speech patterns, those half-finished sentences that wandered in circles before landing on the same old boast. He compared it to a GPS with only to destinations Trump Tower and Mar-a-Lago that still manages to get lost along the way. De Niro piled on by pointing out Trump's exaggerated gestures and puffed-up stance, not as signs of authority, but as the clumsy moves of a nervous magician trying to hide that the trick had already failed when the topic shifted to Trump's obsession with loyalty. Both comedians drove the point home. They argued that his demands weren't about devotion to country or principle, but to himself alone. It was a portrait of fragility disguised as strength, a man so insecure that his entire image of power depended on forcing others to clap louder.
Go f yourself. On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism?
Colbert especially enjoyed tearing into Trump's habit of living in an alternate reality. From claiming victories in elections he lost to denying things caught on tape, Colbert joked that Trump wasn't a politician so much as a walking conspiracy theory with a spray tan. He said Trump thrived not on truth, but on creating a fog where facts disappear. Colbert imagined a world where Trump could declare the sun rose in the West and half his supporters would face the wrong horizon with sunglasses on, ready to agree. The humor cut deep because it exposed not only Trump's delusion, but also the culture of denial he encouraged. De Niro, meanwhile, struck at Trump's character or the lack of it. He called him a man who measured success in gold-plated decor and follower counts, not in decency or integrity. To De Niro, Trump's legacy wasn't leadership or wealth, but a wreckage of lawsuits, bankruptcies, and broken trust. Colbert's would soften the blows just enough to make them sting more, while De Niro's anger magnified the absurdity until it was undeniable. Together, they didn't just chip away at Trump's image, they demolished the entire myth around him. What they revealed wasn't a misunderstood genius or tragic figure, but a salesman peddling an empty product, a carnival barker running a show that had gone on far too long past the point of entertainment.